Hey, 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 hey. Let's see if the audio works. Yeah, it sounds like the audio is working. I don't know. It sounds like we're going good so far, guys. How you guys doing on this wonderful, beautiful Sunday afternoon? Hey, Zach, welcome into the chat. Hope you are doing great today. Today is awesome because I think today is going to be the day we wrap up our Shrek live stream that we've been working on. And it's been a journey, guys. It has been a journey. And you know what? I'm kind of curious what your guys' thoughts are on the new look of Shrek. So I'm going to throw in the poll. Let's see. Let's do start a poll here. What do you think of the new Shrek look? And then good and bad is what the poll options are going to be. So this will be the poll for today as we're working on this. What do you guys think? We've seen the trailer before. I know we've been talking about this for a couple weeks, but I never did like an actual poll on this. So I'm kind of curious what your guys' thoughts are. Right now, I think, let's see, the poll is currently at 0% good, 0% bad. So you guys go ahead. Oh, 100% good right now. That is the highest that number is probably going to be on this stream because I already know some people don't like the look. You know what? I think it's like a 50-50 really. I think some people might dislike it for the sake of disliking it, but I don't know. Hey, Baragon Productions, welcome into the chat. How you doing today? I hope I fixed a good amount of the audio problems that I was having from before. I did boost my audio a little bit. Tell me if it's a little too loud, if it's clipping too much or anything like that. I'm trying to gauge it, but you know, sometimes it's a little hard to tell. Yeah, I think I sound good there. And I know that like throughout the stream, I get a little bit quieter because like I'm just kind of like working on the thing and then you kind of get tired or whatever. That's where you know what ends up happening, but cool. All right, well so we're gonna jump into our thing that we've been working on. This right here is the reference photo of what we're recreating inside of Blender. Today we're gonna be finishing this up. We already 3D modeled a good chunk of this, guys. This is the 3D model that we created here. This is we already got most of it in there. We just have to texture it, light it, and everything like that. I think so far, if I go to render view right now, let's just see what happens. We already have a good amount of the textures for the ground in there, as well as the swamp. Let's let this load here real quick. So we did the swamp kind of thing here, as well as a good amount of the ground. We kind of just need to add in a bunch of the foliage around here, as well as, you know, these rope swing things. And then honestly, adding in some atmosphere is going to make it really nice. You think it's grown on you personally? It's different, but you think you need to see more before you can really come to any form of conclusions about it. You know, someone had a really good video. I saw it on YouTube talking about the look of Shrek and about how it is more modern, but it's very possible because they're bringing back all of these, like the original cast, that they're only doing this on this one movie, and then the future of Shrek is going to be about the kids or like knockoff characters. So they're trying to create more of an appealing look for their characters for the future of what the Shrek kind of like franchise would be. And I don't disagree with that. Because like obviously we're not going to have, you know, Donkey and Shrek in every single movie going forward. These are big time A-list actors. Though, I mean, honestly, they're having Zendaya as like one of the daughters. But I could see how they're trying to create like a new world of characters that we're following. And similar to how like Puss in Boots went off and did its own thing, I think this is kind of like the same thing where they're trying to revamp the franchise with like a younger set of characters and cast essentially. But I don't know. I think that's an interesting take on it anyways. I'm not necessarily not a fan of it, to be completely honest. I talked about this last time. The first time I saw the teaser trailer, I didn't really catch that he looked all that different. I just honestly thought the rendering was more modern. And as an example of that, like just looking at this still here, everything is pretty low res and like kind of video gamey with how like a lot of the textures are interacting with lighting, and physical based rendering has gotten so much better in the last 20 years that obviously, you know, that it's going to be very different from a visual perspective, especially with how skin reacts to lighting and like everything else beyond that. So I'm not necessarily shocked by the difference in the looks. That's just me personally, of course. But yeah. So anyways, back to our render here. What we're gonna have to do, I feel like we're gonna have to brighten up quite a bit of stuff. I noticed that just like checking out our reference here, he hits a lot more sun in the center of the swamp here. And so we're gonna want to try to do something similar to that. And a lot of that's kind of happening because our sun is coming from this direction here. I do have all of these. If you guys remember last time, we put a bunch of like random trees as like a gobo layer that is all right. Where's that at? We have a lighting gobo. That's these guys right here. And if we disable that, you can see exactly how bright everything does get. We might want to remove some of our trees in order to get a little bit more control over how much lighting is hitting that center. I did want it to feel like they're in the middle of the forest, but like even that right there, you can see kind of like opens it up a little bit better. Like that's a little too shadowy. And then now I feel like this is pretty nice because now we're hitting that like nice sunset vibes type thing where the sun's coming in through here. I'm also going to do, let's see, I want to do this just so I can see it, but one of the things that we can kind of do here is we can add in some atmosphere to the entirety of our shot that we're working with. So I like to just right in the middle of everything, really, just add a cube. And sometimes I'll just put this like, especially on these like still renders that we're working on, the camera's not moving around or anything like that. So I like to just like sit the cube directly over top of the camera. And then we can grab just like this side of the face here. And as long as we grab this outwards, let's just bring it all the way to back there, maybe. Just scale that guy up. Essentially what we're doing now is, and we'll probably want this to go all the way to the back. So now we're completely inside of this cube. This cube, I'm going to create a new collection, because we're going to want to turn this off later, but I just call it effects, drag that cube into it. This will just be our fog layer, okay? Now, if you guys seen my streams for a while, you know exactly what I'm about to do. I do this on like pretty much every full CG render I do, even if it's just a tiny, tiny little bit or a lot, I always do it, and it's because it just makes such a big difference, guys, to your renders. I'm going to just grab that, and we don't need to go below the ground. I don't like to, you don't want this thing to be bigger than it has to, because the way volumetrics inside of Blender works, the more you have, the heavier it is on your system. So I try to just get the areas in which the camera is going to see. Obviously, if the camera was spinning around or anything like that, we may want our thing to spin around with it. Or potentially if we were to have like mapped in like different sections that were heavier and stuff like that, which is also possible. Maybe we might do that here as well, using like a noise pattern or something like that. In that case, you would want a larger cube that kind of would encompass the entirety of our scene. But as with everything else in our environment, we're only seeing it from this camera's perspective because, you know, we are just doing a still render. So very different. Sometimes that's the nice thing about working on animated shots where you know what the final result's going to be. Maybe this shot, if I were doing like a short film animation, this would just be an establishing shot. And inside of this establishing shot, I only need to see the camera from this angle, maybe push in or something like that. Having good animatics and stuff like that really helps, rather than having to 3D model all the way around that entire swamp for things that you may never see. It's not a video game. Okay, so I'm going to hit add new material here. And if we go into our material settings, you'll see that I added a principled BSDF. I'm just going to remove that real quick. And I'm going to add in a nice scatter, a volume scatter node. And we just plug this directly into volume. Now you see that it updated over here. Now it no longer looks like a black hole that we're in, but now just like a lot of mist. It's funny, actually, this reminds me of when I was a kid. One of the first short films I ever made, me and my buddy and my brother, we had a fog machine, and we went inside our room and then taped over the fire alarm, and just completely filled the entire room with so much fog. This is all you could see, basically. You couldn't see like that far in front of you. And so we were walking through it like we were zombies, and we would come from the smoke towards the camera, and then you would just see like this figure appear. This just like instantly reminded me of that. That it was like so much fun. We would fill the I have a feeling I'm probably going to get like some kind of like brain rot or something like that when I grow up, because of how many times we would fill up his room. We'd close all the windows, close the door, like stuff the bottom of like the door frames that way smoke couldn't get out, and we would just use that fog machine and fill up the entire room, just like an insane amount of fog. But I'm sure it wasn't good for you. I mean, to inhale that stuff, like, you know, it's funny when people say like nowadays, like, oh yeah, kids vaping and stuff like that can't be good for you or whatever. It's like, bro, I was inhaling a fog machine for like 3-4 hours, you know, every time I'd go over to my friend's house. And we would do that too. Like if we were making a short where, like we did one where it was like a bar scene and we were supposed to be smoking, but you know, obviously we're like 11, 12 years old. So we can't smoke real cigarettes. So we would take a lollipop stick and then and then we would use the fog machine. If you grab the fog in your mouth, like inhale it and then just hold it in your mouth for the scene, you then go that, and then you'd blow out the fog. It looked like real smoke. Hey, Orlando Caicedo, welcome into the chat. How you doing today? So far, you're kind of addicted to using Nuke when it comes to atmosphere. Yeah, dude, 2D atmosphere is the move. It's so much cheaper than doing it this way. But this type of stuff I feel like looks really awesome, you know, in like an actual scene here. The effect it made would have been awesome. Must have been reminded you of Night of the Living Dead or something. Yeah. No, 100%. I'm going to change this density here to be quite a bit lower. And then if we increase this intricacy, this essentially is going to allow the amount of like kind of like volume rays that are coming through like trees and stuff like that. And then this intensity here, we might make even a little bit lower. We want it to be so low that you could barely see it. But what we are doing is going to be getting like these kind of like light rays that are going to be passing through the environment. So let's try a little bit lower even. And then, hey, Hasselhoff, welcome into the chat. How you doing today? Yeah, so many fond memories though, honestly, of like fog machines and stuff like that. I feel like that just was like so much of my childhood was just like, oh dude, we can use a fog machine. I actually in college I then ended up bought one because I was just like, you know, you can do so many things with them. Okay, let's increase this intensity here. Doing great. Learned a lot about whitewater that I wish I knew 1 month ago. You know, new projects or working on projects will do that for you. It will. I've been doing great. I'm going to actually turn off. Let's see. Let's go here. We will turn off glossy diffuse. We'll keep volume scatter on. Yeah. I think I'm gonna like that. Another thing I might be interested in doing, let's go and delete that for a second. Okay, well, we'll keep that in. And then I'm going to duplicate this whole thing and then just rotate this downwards. And we're just going to grab this face here and scale it down. And then this one, let's change the material to a new material. And then I'm going to change that to 0.01 maybe. And scale that whole thing down. I just kind of want... Just see if we can fake this. Wondering if this is a way to fake it. I've never done it this way, but I'm kind of curious now. I don't like it. Delete it. What I'm trying to do though is possibly, in order for us to get these like light rays in here, I need to, okay, probably going to need to increase the actual environmental light that we have going on here. So we're using an HDRI right now, and I think it's just coming in the wrong direction. So we're not doing it. I do have gobos. That's what these things are actually. These are actually just a bunch of trees. Yeah. I was trying, but it's for some reason, I don't know if should be like if I point it this direction here, specifically maybe like this direction. Let's go to our environment real quick, and then I'm gonna swap it out. So let's duplicate the world. So this is gonna be a completely different world, and change the surface here to, let's remove this. Background, diffuse, BSDF, emission. There we go. So that's just going to be black. And then this sun here, if we just increase, let's get the shadows to line up with what we want. There we go. Now we're getting kind of a little bit more of those volume rays in there. Might wonder if the sun's gonna. Have you seen the new features in Blender? No, I haven't really checked that out. Not yet. I should really read through the changelog. Maybe we'll do that on stream today. I like that. Look at that. We get some nice rays in there. Probably just extend that more to the side here. Anything really stick out to you guys? On the new version of Blender? Max bounces, strength. I need this to probably rotate a little bit more to the side here. The NPR stuff looks really powerful. Dude, I gotta check it out. What version of Blender is that? I'm on 4.3. That's the thing about me with Blender is I hardly ever update it. It's always a chore for me to update it. Because you got to think about it. You got to download all new versions of every plugin that you're using. It's just annoying, honestly. I do wish that Blender was more like Houdini in the sense that there was like a launcher. So then you just had one version of the launcher, and then you can check for new versions, and then you can backtrack to old versions and things like that. I wish that Houdini was more like that. Or not Houdini, Blender was more like that. That'd make it so much easier, honestly. Alright, dude. You gotta hit these tree leaves here, man. Blender Launcher 2. But Houdini Launcher is awesome. Blender Launcher 2. In my case, I'm more interested in sculpture, and for now it isn't much, but there's things that... Dude, but they have been updating sculpting. Although I guess all their big updates for sculpting has kind of been, you know, already done. They're not really changing all that much more now. Okay. I'm just rotating this around until I find something I like. That's pretty broad right there. Make the angle pretty low so that way the shadows are pretty sharp. This is just going to be a 3-hour stream of just me rotating this sun lamp. Is that what it's going to be? Decrease. I've been trying to do a little bit more sculpting recently because one of the big projects that I'm working on this year is an animated film. So we're actually doing quite a bit of the sculpting ourselves on the project, just super fun. And definitely a learning exercise. Okay, now let's just adjust this here. I want it to be a little bit more visible. Okay, and then this guy right here, we increase the strength a bit. And then oh yeah, by the way, I added like this like Streamlabs app to ask random questions every now and then to spark conversations. Oh, that's kind of ew. That's actually kind of interesting. Hey, how you doing? It's a Nemo, right? You guys keep changing names on me. Okay, cool. And then now we swap this back to the other world option. See what that looks like. So with the rise of virtual production, do you guys think green screen will be obsolete in 5 to 10 years? I think it's already kind of obsolete. Is that a good answer? Did I win? Did I do good? Let's make this a little bit more green, I'm thinking. Let's change the saturation of it slightly. Yeah, I think here's the thing about virtual production. I think people think it's a replacement to VFX, but in the end, it's actually not a replacement. It's more so just doing VFX earlier than later. I actually think it's good. I think, unfortunately, the way in which it's shot, some DPs and directors, they don't really know how to do things well within it. And so it feels like green screen, right? I think the best example of this is like green screen nowadays, you go shoot it outside. You don't really need green screen. For the most part, you're going to roto everything anyways, especially these like big Marvel films. So the stuff doesn't feel like green screen because the world is so much bigger and then they're able to act out like in such a larger grand scale. You guys ever watch like an old sci-fi movie from like the 60s? They feel like they're on a soundstage. I don't know like a way to really describe it other than the way in which they move feels very constrained to like a 15 foot by 15 foot spot. And a good example of this is go watch Book of Boba. It feels like they can't move past that 15 foot by 15 foot area. And that is, I believe, the problem to me right now with kind of like virtual production is that the rooms aren't big enough for you to really get like farther away from the screen. Like actors always feel like they're just standing in one spot. They never feel like they're unlimited in the way they can move. Whenever they're turning, it feels very constrained. And I don't know if that's actually true or if it's just in my head, but I do feel like that is what I see for the most part. The best virtual production stuff I've seen was like in the movie The Batman. Just because like that room that they were in wasn't large anyways. Like the virtual production they did was on when like Cat Lady was, or Catwoman was up on like the the tower and they're looking out over the city and it's like this beautiful shot. Like that I think was the best use case of it, because it was literally just a set extension of like the environment. Like they're not going to see a city anyways. You don't feel constrained. They're like at the edge of a building, right? So I think that right there is kind of like the best use case of virtual production versus you know, perhaps other stuff where you're trying to shoot an entire town and it's supposed to be virtual production. Sometimes can feel very small and cramped. It's not a replacement for green screen, at least not entirely. Green screens are definitely useful for big sets, budgets, post-production, adjustability. It is a replacement though. It's quite literally a replacement. In fact, actually, it's actually kind of like the best green screen too. They have this new thing called ghost framing in virtual. It's not really new. It's been around for about 2 years now. But essentially what they would do is film is shot at like 24 frame or 23,976 frames per second. And what they would do is they would actually shoot at like 48 frames per second and then create 2 ProRes files at the same time. And this is called ghost framing, where half of the frames was synced with the whole camera is synced. And it's like gen locking, where it's synced with the background virtual production wall. And then so half of the frames would be seeing like the virtual production like set extension that is created through camera. And then the other half of the frames would be green screen frames, like perfect key, chroma key, green screen or blue screen or whatever you want it to be frames. And to the naked eye, it would kind of just look like everything's just like green wash, but like the other frames would be half and half, and they would create 2 video files at the exact same time. So the thing I think that's kind of cool about that is the problem with virtual production was you're locked into what you have later, and then you would just have to like roto everything out and actually be kind of more expensive than just shooting on green screen. But now you can actually have green screen and like footage at the same time. I say now, but it's been around for like 2 years. Like this isn't like a new thing, but it's definitely like I think a better way of going about working on virtual production shows. But in that case, your frame is always 1/2 ahead. I mean, not really, because you're shooting at the 2 shots are 24 frames per second. You're just shooting at 48 frames per second. So theoretically you would be down resing it. So like technically speaking, I mean, you might be like, you're right, like half a frame ahead by the time that you actually scale things appropriately, but like that would never be noticed at all. That's not a problem. Because at that point you just sync it, because like all you have to do then is sync it. You just move it 1 frame back and then all of a sudden your footage is perfectly fine. But yeah, no, I mean, that's not a problem. Okay, great guys. I think lighting wise, I'm pretty happy with this. This is going to drive my computer crazy if I try to do the rest of everything with this layer turned on. So I'll go ahead and just turn off the effects. Having it in its own collection makes it really nice to do that. Next up, let's just start doing some textures. We got to do some wood textures here for a lot of these cabin here. I think we probably just work on one procedural texture first and then kind of go from there. If we want to try to have different variants of how that wood is interacting, we can do that, of course, as well. I'm just going to open up a new Chrome project here, and then we'll just search for HDRI Haven and go to our textures. Let's search for like a wood plank or something like that. I like these worn planks. They're usually pretty good to go to. It is interesting though how virtual production can be used. I was never a fan of it before, when you were kind of like locked into stuff. The reason why is like, if you're locked in, then what ends up happening is they're going to want to change later anyways. And I think that's happened on a couple shows actually, where they ended up trying to, oh god, this Japanese bark looks almost pretty close. But I think especially now with ghost framing, it's not necessarily a bad move. I think my biggest gripe with the whole thing is that it looks like the actors are really constrained to like that one small area that they can film. And I don't know how that that gets fixed unless you really make like really big sets. I don't know how you fix that. Like this rough wood. Let's go with this rough wood texture here. Go ahead and download that. And we'll download that to our assets folder here. Go ahead and just unzip it. Rough wood texture, baby. Let's go. Okay, we'll add a new material in. I think though that like the future of virtual production is like really big stadium type places, potentially not stadium necessarily, but like an actual soundstage of like how big a soundstage can get. I think right now they're pretty small. I think the largest one's in London, right? Someone fact check me on that. I know that like most of them are pretty small. And actually virtual production is an interesting thing because it can even be just like a train set, like with out a window or a car outside of a window. I don't know if any of you guys are going to NAB, but I will be going to NAB next week or 2 weeks from now. Nice to see you guys there if any of you guys are attending. But they actually do have a lot of cool virtual production sets that they usually showcase at events like that. So they're kind of fun to like go see and experience with your own eyes rather than, you know, through behind the scenes footage. I've not actually personally worked on any virtual production sets myself. I'm gonna add a normal map in here, and I think we're probably gonna have to remap our UVs here. Let's go ahead and just add texture coordinates and a mapping in here and then plug all of our textures into it. And okay, same with our displacement here. We're going to want the same mapping node into it, and then probably a bump texture that we can then plug this color into the height and then the normals into the displacement. Okay, and so there's our wood texture. It's pretty close. I might want to change the scale of this. So let's change the value of this to a higher value and plug that into scale. That'll scale our entire texture down probably a little bit more. It's a really easy way of just like scaling your textures by using a value node. Okay, I really like that. Now, this is all looking pretty good, but if I started to copy this over to our other planks here, one thing we'll notice almost immediately is that the texture looks the same with everything. So I'm going to do that, and then we can make some adjustments to our own liking. So let's grab this. And probably that one as well. I'll link the groups, either that or we could do, I think we can link materials. So all of these should be using this wood texture. Perfect. But they all look the same now. Completely the same. Ridiculous, guys. Ridiculous. So I'm going to do object info, and going into this diffuse is probably what we're going to want to do here. I'm going to create a color ramp. We'll change this to constant. Let's add a few in here. And change this, the roughly brightness values of this. Probably, yeah, let's do full black on that one. And let's do that. Maybe even make it slightly green. I don't know. We can add a few more. Also just change this to maybe, let's just change it to ease. So that way we actually have infinite different values. And then this random, we're going to plug into the FAC here. And then this, we'll just use a mix color node. And if you plug your diffuse into one of the options here, I'll probably just even plug it into the B. It doesn't really matter if it's A or B on this particular one. Then the color of this color ramp, I'm just going to use a multiply. So now if we go ahead and look at that texture and then use the multiply node, you'll see that it's multiplying different amounts to all of these. And then if we use the factor here all the way upwards, that way it's multiplying 100%. So it's multiplying a color value over top of your diffusion texture. And then that gives you a bunch of different values. The higher to 1, the less likely it's actually going to be changing anything, versus the lower to black, the more it's going to be multiplying it against 0. It's just basically math. You can see as we're changing some of these values here, the white values are actually lifting up the brightness quite a bit. So we might want to bring that down a little bit more. I'd actually make this still full white. And then this one right here. Let's do that. Beautiful. The green one here as well. Let's remove a little bit of the saturation on it. There we go. So now we have a little bit of a mossy green, kind of like on this wood texture. We could add in a couple more, honestly, if we wanted to. Let's change this value here to a little bit more of a brown. I make that brown as well. Yeah, it's cool. The more variation that we have, actually the better, because it adds more character and life to these things. Just do probably something like that. And I'm just going to bring that all the way to the top here. Okay, great. Now all of this then, this multiply, just gets plugged directly into the base color. Now we go view our texture. It'll be a lot more subtle, but now we've got a lot more variation in the way our wood is. So that way it doesn't feel super repetitive, which it is. It's just one texture, but now it's like a bunch of different textures essentially. And that really helps us. Go ahead and hit the save button there. Made that a lot easier. I mean, we could have hand painted that as well, but you know, this is one of those things where sometimes it's a little bit more fun to create some procedural textures that we can do. Probably gonna copy all of this. Let's do the same thing here. We're just gonna select that, press Ctrl L, link materials. And that way we are using the same wood texture throughout. I mean, if you think about it, he's probably chopped down like 1 or 2 trees to kind of like use as the entirety of his swamp. I'm gonna also change this to maybe a little more of a reddish kind of color. That's cool. I will say, as an update to our polls that we've got so far, guys, 75% of the people say it's good and 25% of the people say it's bad. If you guys disagree with that poll, then go grab some other YouTube accounts and vote on that, all right? I'm not saying that's legal, but you could totally do that. I don't know if that would be wrong or not, but you know. All right, looks like we need to add in a bunch of fur. It's not really fur, but you know what I'm saying. All the way around here. Now, there's a couple ways we could do that. We could probably go in and find individual plants and do that ourselves, which could be a way of doing it. Or we could do what I'm probably going to do, which is let's add in like a cube of some kind. And I'm going to add in a subdivide surface. I saw some video where they just moved the eyes of the new Shrek further outward and it basically fixed all the problems people have with the new version. Yes. Yeah, I saw that too. I don't know how I feel about the new Shrek. I don't necessarily dislike it. And I've said this before. I didn't even notice it at first. Like, who out here actually noticed it first before anybody told them that there was a problem? So what I'm doing right now is I'm creating a bit of area in which we want our grass particles to grow. So we're just going to create a mesh of that area, and then we can then customize it to exactly what we want. So let's do this. I'm gonna probably grab this bottom piece here and just push that down. And then, of course, we're going that way. I'm not really seeing back here, but I think I want to get it regardless. And then this side over here, this goes all the way around, right? Yeah. I think this wood bit goes through it, so we might want to extrude a new plane there. And we'll do the same thing over here. So grab again this face. Well, actually, I don't know. Does that go under? It doesn't. So this one right here, we could just have it go over top of it. Yeah, and then we just we'll wrap it all the way around here. So rotate that. Yeah, it was funny. The first time I watched the trailer, I didn't even realize that it looked all that different. I think I knew that it looked different, but I didn't think it looked bad. I still don't think it looks bad. I think it looks different. And maybe people don't like different. Is that what the problem is? Okay, so this new cube here, we'll go ahead and create a new collection for it. No, maybe we don't need a new collection. Throw this under our old collection for our layout. And now let's go ahead and open up Botanic. I think this is probably going to be the easiest way of doing this. If we open up Botanic and then we can use our scatter node, you guys can use whatever scatter plugin that you guys prefer. I like Botanic just because it's got some great assets inside of it. And then now we just have to find ourselves like a nice swampy, let's see, is decorative the answer here? Decorative might be it. Let's try decorative. Let's click OK. And then obviously our grass is way too small, so we will adjust that as well. And that's pretty easy to do. You just adjust the scale. Now our problem is going to be is that all our grass is going upwards when his grass is more random. So we can adjust the randomize function here. Definitely increase that as much as you can or want to. There's a lot of customization that can go on at this point. And then probably phase as well. I mean, I think the phase option probably is good. To scale randomness, I really like to not have too much consistency going on here. And then at this point, it's just increasing the numbers. I don't really want to change the density or anything like that here. So yeah, let's just increase the numbers. Let's just make this like 10,000. Then all we have to do is just hike this number up. 5,000. A lot of grass particles. That's really bulbous over there, guys. That's a lot of grass. Probably too much grass, if you ask me. So we can fix that. Let's change that to like 2000. And then, yeah, his walkway here is getting completely lost. So I'm probably going to grab like this whole wall over here. Let's just do that. And then I'm going to use our tool as much as possible. Just try to thin this guy out. Beautiful. And it's looking pretty good, guys. Now let's fix this under area over here. It's looking pretty sweet, guys. I like that grass. Go and save it. For our brightness, though, let's change some of the randomization. Let's see, high B. I want it to be a little more dead or less green, if you will. So, not quite sure that I can do that through the scatter node here, but we certainly have the ability to adjust that over here on the actual texture window. Change like the brightness here. That kind of just like changes the overall brightness. Randomize float property? Okay. Mute, unmute animation. Wondering, I know that like with the trees you can convert them to editable objects, so I'm wondering if I could do that same thing here. It's all under the botanic settings. Particle systems, grass high. There we go. I found it, guys. Found it. So it's this one right here. We might want to adjust these. So attribute color, it's fresh/dry. This is the color value here. And can I edit the group? What do we got going on here? Frost tips. I don't think I can make any adjustments. It's probably because it's a particle that I can't make any adjustments. Where there's a will, guys, there is a way. Just, there we go. All you had to do is duplicate it. Okay, so now the green value here, if I just change that to like brown, doesn't do anything. If I just remove the surface texture, it doesn't do anything. It's the high A. Let's just change this to BQ grass. And then the BQ grass that I have here, we then just remove the surface. Yep, there we go. Perfect. We are on to something, guys. And then now all I have to do is, let's see if we can adjust this brown value. We can. And it does do the thing. Perfect. Now let's just change the brightness here to be a little bit brighter. See what some of the options are directly inside of this BQ grass node here. Now we can actually open up this group and then edit like all of the stuff with inside of it. Let's see, color strength. Color tips versus the color bottoms. That's pretty cool. Fresh saturation, fresh value. So that's at a 0.5. So if we increase that value, then decrease the saturation to like a 0.3 value. Do a 0.6 value. I like that. And then this green value right here, if we make that brown, what does that do? What does this brown do? What does this brown do? What do all the brown values do if I just adjusted every single one of these to be like this color here? Does that actually do anything? No. Why don't you do anything? Your top values, your bottom values. Edit inside of this group. What do we got going on in here? I love trying to hack other people's stuff, you know? Like that's the best way to do this. Back to previous. Well, there's a couple different ways we could do this. We have this shader here, and then all we have to do is just kind of like use a mix shader node. We could actually mix two different shaders that we have. So maybe I use like a principled BSDF. Oh, wait a second. That's this. That's that. I found it. It's taking the attribute color value here and adjusting that. That's pretty cool. I like more of that value right there. So we could, that's actually pretty sweet. Let's go ahead and change this to like a color ramp value. And then this is just really 0 to 1, which is essentially this guy right here. Okay. If we do like an ease mode or a cardinal or a linear, so this should be complete 0 to 1 values right there. And then we do like an object info. This object info for the value of random into the FAC, plug that into the fresh dry, should give us random browns and random greens throughout our entire thing, and it did. Beautiful. Just adding in some extra randomness. I just, you know, that's the thing about freaking CG stuff is you can't have it be too exact because otherwise it it always looks the same. Okay, great. Let's do color bottoms. What is do I not really have any adjustments? I don't know what that's doing. Macro scale. Frosty tips. Do we want frosted tips? Probably not. Though it looks kind of cool. Dry hue. A little red. So this is like fresh versus dry. I get it now. I get it. Looks pretty good to me though, guys. Okay, now I'm going to select our ground that we have here, and then we're going to just do the same exact thing that we just did, okay? So we'll go ahead and save everything so that way we don't die when it crashes. And then we'll use ourselves some nice weight paint here. And we're just going to weight paint the areas in which the grass exists. So it kind of like goes down here and then off to the side. Maybe a little bit more to the right side as well. We'll just do, you know, something like this. And then it just kind of goes all the way around. Doesn't have to be perfect. Though it does. Everything has to be perfect, guys, okay? We'll just kind of select this whole area over here. Does it have grass all the way up to the... It does. Though we may want it to... I'm going to use the subtraction. Paint. Average paint. What is this? Weight. -1. Can you do that? No. Strength. How do you do that now? Oh, right. It's under the freaking tools box now. Oh, not a fan of the new location for this. Where is that at? I need subtract. That's screen. There it is. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Okay, perfect. So there's our weight paint. We'll go back over here to our object mode. And then I'm going to go ahead and now add in a new scatter. So we'll do this exact same scatter as before. It's the decorative grass. I think that just stylized wise works the best. Now it's going to add grass everywhere. And this is where now we're just going to add in the density to our group here. And then probably length as well. And then we're going to just change the amount. It's got a ridiculous amount. Probably need way less. Actually, like literally way less. I'll just go like a really small amount. Scale this guy up. What was our scale on this one here? 1.9. Just go to solid view real quick. We'll do things in solid view. And then, yeah, we'll just max out the randomized direction. So that way we're kind of getting everything going into random directions. We can phase it if we want to. Yeah, that looks pretty okay. So that's all looking good to me. I might now increase the number of particles that we have. And then decrease the scale slightly. It's looking a lot better. Now I just need to increase the number. You know what we guys haven't talked about on this channel yet? Is Flo winning Best Animated Film. What do you guys think about that? Did you guys watch Flo? Go ahead and save that. I did watch Flo. I watched it last week. Really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. And to be completely honest, I don't remember what movies it was up against. What was up for Best Animated Film nominees? You know me, I always like to take hot takes on things like this. Although, I'm not going to lie. So it was Flo, Inside Out 2, The Wild Robot, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, and then Memoir of a Snail. I haven't seen Memoir of a Snail. But I think out of those that I did watch, because I saw Wild Robot, I saw Inside Out 2. I did not watch Wallace and Gromit, but I can't imagine it being Best Picture. And then Memoir of a Snail. Yeah, I think I would agree. Flo was probably the best. You saw Flo, but honestly, it's not your type of movie. You know, that's fair. That's a very fair statement to make. It was a lot more, I don't know. It was very, what's the best way to describe it? It was more artsy than anything. Very basic story. But I thought the animation was all super good. As far as like animation quality is concerned, it was really, really good, guys. Super solid. I don't think I understood the film as well as I could have or something, but yeah, we'll just add that light back there. I'm trying to get some extra edge light over here. I thought I was going to take a hot take there and be like, yeah, no, it wasn't as good as some other film. Inside Out 2, though, I did really enjoy. I thought that was a really good movie. I don't know if it was like Oscar, like, hey, you know, like this is like way, way, way better. I don't think there was like a clear winner. It'd be like if Up or, you know, was there and then Up didn't win, then I would probably like be a little bit more annoyed. But like honestly, it wasn't like that on this year. Okay, we want the texture of this to be the same, so let's just make sure we do that. We've got these guys here. And again, probably just search for BQ grass. We'll do the same for this one. BQ grass. I like that. That lighting works quite well now too. But can we talk about Monkey Man not winning? Monkey Man? Or are you talking about Better Man? It wasn't Monkey Man. It was Better Man. Different thing. Better Man, a Monkey Man not winning VFX? Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Yes, pretty impressive VFX sometimes. But like as a whole for the whole movie, I don't know. I thought there were some issues. Okay, I think this light is a little too bright back here. Also give it a nice little tinge. Oh, I like that. That allows that to stand out a little bit better. You guys see that? That was a good call right there. Yeah, the animation in Flow is really good. The story's okay, nothing special. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was that it just didn't speak to me. Like, I don't know. It just didn't really speak to me, the movie Flow. But I did enjoy it. I thought the animation was super good. I felt it felt cheap as far as like the render style. I'm not a fan of that look personally. But still was very impressed. Like very impressed. So, you know, that's cool. Also, I mean, if you guys saw Flow, it had like straight up 5 minutes of opening title cards. Like how many logos for studios and production companies and distributors and more studios did you have to have on that opening? Like, holy cow, that was an intense amount of logos. I guess it really does take an army to make those types of movies. Like the amount of people that you need in order to make movies like that successful. You know what? I don't disagree. Okay, I'm going to select all of these ground options here. Or these planks. The planks. Then we just select our one plank over here. I guess we can't really see it anymore, can we? I just want the one most edge plank, please. There it is. You press Control L, link materials. Save that. You haven't seen Flow. You heard good things about it, though. It sounds quite wholesome. It is. It is. There's nothing really like controversial or like it's not like a movie where you're like, I just didn't like where they did that. It's like there's nothing really like about it that speaks to one direction on it. You know, it's not like it's not like it's really like trying to make a statement on anything, I don't think. Like it's just a film. And it was just like a character with things kind of happening to it. I thought the characters inside of it, like there's no talking or anything like that, but the animals are cute and funny. So there is that, you know. I don't know. I wasn't like it didn't like really shock me or change my perception on anything. But you know what? Movies don't have to do that, you know? They don't have to. They don't have to. Like, you could have movies for the sake of entertainment. That is very possible. I'll hide this for a second. I just need to grab these guys. We'll just move those out. Something like right there. And then we'll unhide everything. And now we still have those walkways, but they're positioned a little bit better. They were really buried into the grass. Hey, Satya, welcome into the chat. How are you doing today? I think, do I have a light on the inside of this hut? If I did, it's gone. Lighting, interior point light. Probably, there we go. It got buried in the grass on the inside. The grass was just like, it was overgrown. Sadness finds you again. Don't do that. Hope you're feeling okay. Probably add some lilies in the pond. Lily in the pond over there. That tree, I mean, we just need to add some more of like kind of like this heavy, kind of like bushy bushness. Potentially. Just done watching Invincible Season 3 and you wanted more? I have not seen Season 3 yet. Season 2 came out and I'll be honest, I didn't like Season 2. So, I don't know. Maybe it was because it took so long from Season 1 to Season 2 to come out that's the reason why I lost interest. I don't know. It's not even like I lost interest. I don't know. I just wasn't super blown away by it. So then Season 3 came out, and then they did that stupid little stagger release schedule thing. And I wasn't gonna, I don't like that. I don't like that. I like binging things, and they didn't want me to binge it, so I'm not watching it right now. I'll get to it later. It'll happen, it's just gonna be later. Can I change the saturation or just the brightness here? Randomized variant. Guess not. I mean, Flow is kind of a situational movie with animals. Yeah, basically. Bro, that's the most annoying thing. Just release all the episodes at once. 100%. Like, and that's, I don't know, that's me. I mean, like, I get it from the streamer's perspective because they're like, oh, well, we want to make you pay for the streaming service for the most amount of time possible. And I get it, like, mathematically it makes sense, you know, from an economic state, understand it. But from a user perspective, hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Don't like it. And so that's where I'm at, guys. There's a bit like kind of like some viney stuff going on here, right? So if I do let's see, spawn asset. We've got vines, right? Ivy. Do that. It's my own tree. My own tree, guys. We don't need a fake ass tree that they want us to use. We could do that ourselves. I like this side a little better. You don't know the exact story behind making a flow, but it didn't start out as like a solo developer passion project. It didn't start out as a solo developer passion project. Probably didn't want anything too crazy to story-wise. Okay. I mean, yeah, I mean, they had like 30 production companies on it. And it's probably just because they ran out of money or, you know, like, animation's expensive, guys, and it's not easy. I think that's the one good thing about... Oh, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. It's the one good thing about AI is the fact that in the future, there will be possibly more solo developed animation projects and things like that. That I think is kind of cool because in a way it's making it cheaper and better for creators to make their own films and tell their own stories without having to have, you know, tens of millions of dollars in order to tell it. Because that's kind of like, I mean, realistically, from like the history of animation, it's been so expensive to the point where like when Snow White was made for Disney, I think Disney literally declared bankruptcy in order to make that film, right? And then to nowadays where you have so many animation studios and even indie developers making an animated film where it's just a difference in how technology has made it so that more stories could be told. And I think that the future of technology kind of like just progressing in this direction of like making it more and more accessible for filmmakers to be able to tell their own stories. I almost in a way, I think it's actually a good thing because it'll allow, you know, more companies than just Disney to make their own anime films. Those Warhammer and Star Wars fan films often are solo and small group projects. Exactly. I mean, honestly, the majority of the time they're better than the real actual projects that come out from like Star Wars and things like that. It's like sometimes the fan made stuff has just like this level of passion in it. And it's cool that because of technology, and now more and more people are able to tell their stories than ever before. Just back 20 years ago, those types of fan-made animated projects weren't possible. Your point was even without AI, so it's already possible. Yeah, you're right. And I think that you're right. I also think, though, that it is just lowering that bar of entry where now it's more about the storytelling and the creativity and less about the skills that you need to have in order to accomplish telling that story. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think things that are progressing where technology is becoming easier to use, like going from film, like analog to digital, actually was just an ease of use situation. It's cheaper. It's easier to use. It's easier to grab your cell phone and go film a movie now than it was 30, 40 years ago where you had to shoot it on film, develop it, cut it on like a Moviola. You don't have to do that anymore. Now you can go shoot it on your phone, hell, edit it in the TikTok app. You don't even need an editing software. You don't need an Avid. You don't need any of that stuff. And I don't know that that's bad. I don't know that AI, I think AI as AI, like Midjourney, that's dumb. I think that use of AI is going to go away. Or it'll stick around, but it'll always be like that, like kind of like shitty AI, right? Whereas AI as tools is not the same thing. I don't think that's not what I'm talking about. There are tools that allow you to do things that are more automated procedure ways of doing stuff and allows you to speed up your workflow. And I think that's an interesting, I think that's interesting. I think using AI as a tool is interesting. I don't think using AI as a crutch is interesting. Fine, I'll start working on Star Wars fan film. Now let's talk about AI writing the story. No, see, that's the thing. You don't want AI writing. You don't want AI doing the creative aspects of things. You want it to be where you do your creativity and it basically assists you in your process. That is, I think, where you really want it to be at. I think eventually that's what it will be. I think, though, that when it first started coming out, it got kind of like this negative stigmatism because a lot of people were using it literally as like a, hey, make me a movie about blah, blah, blah. And that was what ChatGPT, like the concept of AI writing it for you, versus you going, hey, I'm writing this scene. Here's a scene I wrote. And I need like things I think ChatGPT is really good for is research. Like, hey, what kind of like tools and what would they call these tools in this era of time, right? What would be a city that would be roughly this far from this location? Are there like just really quick research answers to stuff? I think is awesome. And now I think that just makes researching so much quicker, and it's a cool tool to be used for something like that. Less of, hey, write this scene for me, because having it write a scene for you is not creativity. Now you're just a dude that just wants to make something because you want to be famous or whatever. Cross-checking and fact-checking and being accurate. Yeah, I mean, it's a good way of at least getting a quick answer to something. You probably should still, I mean, AI is not accurate, guys. Don't use it as an end-all be-all for anything right now. It gives you answers. It doesn't mean that it's good answers. It's like, hey, yeah, what is, I think you can ask it to spell strawberries and it will literally spell it wrong. Like AI is not an accurate source for anything. Okay, let's add this wood texture to these guys over here. Just do Control L, link materials. That way we have our cabin over here. I'm just going to do the same thing. Link materials. Cough, cough, Gemini. I actually haven't used Gemini all that much. Google AI summaries. Dude, Google AI summaries really kind of suck sometimes. Like, I don't trust them at all. For the most part, they just like screw up. It's cool to like get an immediate answer to something, but like oftentimes it's just straight wrong. If you don't have a gut, it can't be unhealthy for good gut health. Yeah, guys, you go ahead and use it as a medical. Totally. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's what you should be doing. Okay, guys, we're getting there. We're getting close. It's looking not terrible. You know, when it's looking not terrible, that you're getting close. That's what I say. Do they have they have to have like tree trunks in botanic? Rocks, pots, plants, miscellaneous. Oh, here's all our shrooms, guys. And pine cones. Pine cones and shrooms. Hey, but you do have a gut, Hasselhoff. I hate to tell you it. I know that that's all news, but you do have a gut. You are human. Humans have guts. Bloods and guts. Remember when I was a kid, I used like we'd say gut, like ooh, spill out your guts, because that was like a bad word, and you were like, ooh, we're saying a bad word right now. It's like, dude, guts is not a bad word. I don't know why in my head it was when I was a kid. One thing that's great with AI is it's going to be crowd sims in Blender. Oh, yeah, sure. It was so funny. I was talking to an actress. And you know what's funny to me is that actors are so concerned that AI is going to take over their roles and stuff like that. Yes, if you're famous. I don't get it that people are concerned. Like, they're like, oh, my likeness is going to be used. I'm not talking about how them taking their job. It will take their job. But they were concerned that it was going to, like, literally use their likeness without their consent. And I was like, why would they use your likeness? AI can literally generate a random likeness. That's the thing you need to be concerned about. Not that it's going to use your likeness. You should be concerned that all background positions are going to be completely taken away. Which, by the way, they already are and have been since, like, Lord of the Rings. Really, just one rock right away? Wait, what? What are we doing? Oh, not for long if I eat a rock. Yeah, Hasselhoff, why are you eating rocks? You shouldn't be eating rocks. That's just... no. Okay, let's put some pine cones down. I feel like that's the answer. That's one of the answers to life, is just putting some rocks that you don't eat down. See what we got. We got some rocks here. Maybe something like that. If you're a small actor, it's still a valid concern. You have less power and can't really push back. A good example for voice actors of Apex Legends. Wasn't there a Disney Nickelodeon show that used digi-doubles in the crowd and it wasn't even in the background? It was literally like in the front. No way. They did that? I think my point that I'm trying to make, though, Hasselhoff, is that, yeah, for right now, but like the concern isn't about them using your likeness in the future. The concern I feel like that people should be more concerned about is that they wouldn't use your likeness at all. And that you getting paid at all is completely gone. Now they're literally just going to be generating random humans. Like, why would I need you? You don't look like, you know, like you're not, I don't even know, like some famous actor. You're not Anna de Armas. You're not Brad Pitt. You're Connor Thomas. Why would they want Connor Thomas in their film, you know? Even if they didn't have to pay for it. It's like, I would rather have no headache of using somebody and then having to give them money or be concerned about getting sued or whatever it is. It's like, no, they would just literally have a random like character generated. Wouldn't they do that? Like that, I feel like that is more of a concern. Who were forced to sign an agreement that did it really just, it just asked the same virtual production question again. I don't know why it asked the same one. Who were forced to find an agreement that they can use their voice for training. It wasn't even in their job. No way. Yeah, I think that is the stuff that like most people were concerned about, is that for training purposes, they were just going to be paying people like small day rates or something. And then afterwards just like using their voices for stuff. I think that's pretty unethical. I don't think anybody actually agrees with that. Not any normal humans, I should say. We want some pine cones now? Shrub saplings. Is that under miscellaneous? Where did I put that? Saw a tool that creates realistic random persons with just one click. Yeah, but they're not super realistic. Let's be real. I mean, not the ones I've seen anyways. I feel like most of the stuff I've seen is pretty... It's pretty whatever. It's like the Make Human plugin inside of Blender, you know? Although I feel like that stuff's going to get better though, for sure. You just feel that at the moment AI is a net negative. Maybe you will get new job opportunities in the future and some proper legal agreements. Yeah, you know, but I honestly think the only thing it's a net positive for are young filmmakers that are trying to make their own movies but don't have any money. I mean, think about it. If you were trying to like make your own projects, you know, not saying like even like not even like, yeah, I think that's where it makes the most sense, is like for young filmmakers who are just trying to make their own films that couldn't afford to pay anyone anyways. It's not like they didn't want to afford to pay anyone. They literally do not have the money to. You don't really realize how expensive it is to make your own projects until you do it. Speaking from experience, by the way. And then what? You're just going to pull favors anyways, so everybody's going to do it for free or almost nothing. Or if you don't have the ability to pull favors, then you're just not making a film. And yeah, you could argue like, oh, well, they shouldn't be making movies, but you know, I don't know. Call me a hopeless romantic. Stick some leaves on the ground around here, guys. Should just set this up over here. Everyone deserves to make a movie, man. Does everybody deserve to make a movie? If that's the case, then you're on the AI train. I would tend to agree with you, though. I think that if you've got a story to tell, then you should be able to tell it. And I think that's what's cool. I've always said this from the beginning. AI just democratizes. It democratizes filmmaking. It democratizes storytelling. It democratizes everything. And yeah, it hurts the most the artists in the wheel. But if you are the one that's trying to tell your own story, then this helps you. And maybe that is a net negative. And if you're looking at it from a general perspective of everybody working in the film industry, then yes, it's a net negative. If you're looking at it from a cultural, like, hey, anybody can now tell their stories. So if you are the cog in the wheel, then now you can go tell your own story. And then you go do that, then awesome. Then yes, that's a net positive. But I don't know that everybody wants to tell their own stories. What kind of twig do we want here, guys? Something like this or something like this? Probably this. Everyone has a smartphone in their pockets. Tons of indie filmmakers on YouTube that make great tutorials. Skipping all the learning experiences won't lead to good, thoughtful movies. That is exactly true, Hasselhoff. And that right there is why I don't think AI is bad. Because if people are just using AI because it's a cheat code to making quick films, then they'll be making bad movies. And it depends. This is a whole argument that I got into my coworker, not argument, discussion, that I got into my coworker the other day, actually, because I'm kind of curious if people actually care about high quality movies anymore, or do they just want movies? Do they just want stories? Do they just want to watch content? Is it content for the sake of content, or is it content because it actually is good, right? Do people actually like good movies, or do they like to just consume content? And my thought is people don't care. I used to think people did care, but I don't think they do anymore. Just look at TikTok. TikTok, I don't care who you are. You can argue with me till you're blue in the face. I would never agree with you on this. Because I believe that TikTok is just full of garbage. It's full of garbage content. And that's all people want to watch. So people will sit there, scroll for hours. They'll doom scroll. And if that's what they do in their free time, then do you really think that they're going to spend money to go watch a movie because it has a better story to it? No, I don't think so. I think that if you had theaters full of garbage films, people would still watch garbage. I don't think they care. I don't think you can catch a lot of people's interest with bad movies, but some shows are insanely popular because they only run on the side. Ambient TV. Yeah, and that actually was the reason why we started this conversation, me and my coworkers, because I was talking about, okay, and I'm going to get some flack because Alexander just dropped in the chat. But Reacher, we were talking about the TV show Reacher. And I said, I don't think Reacher is a good show. I think it's a good show. I think it's fun to watch. But I think it's pretty garbage dialogue because it is. So I was like, AI could have literally wrote it. I was like, ChatGPT could have wrote those episodes and it would have been exactly the same. And I don't think they did it on purpose. Like, it's not even like, oh, they didn't know that that's what they did. Like, I guarantee you that's what they did that on purpose. Like, he talks like a video game character. And yeah, I don't know. In my opinion, that sparked this whole thing about whether or not I thought that AI would replace filmmakers. And I was like, I used to think like people actually cared about what they watched and the content and stuff like that. And then I was watching Reacher because I had never seen that show before. And then I was like, oh, never mind. And then I started to realize that like TikTok is just full of like this garbage content. And I don't really watch TikTok, but people doom scroll, man. And it's really unfortunate because I think that answers the question of whether or not, you know, it will be replaced by AI. Am I wrong? I don't know. Reacher is popcorn flick type of thing. Yeah, that's my, I guess. Yeah, that's exactly right. And is that bad? I don't think it's bad. It just, you know, because it's like, I mean, this is coming from a guy. I watched the Beast Games, like, reality show. Like, I watch reality TV as well, okay? And that also, it's just popcorn, ambient flicks, like, jargon, right? I don't think that's, I'm not criticizing anybody that watches that stuff. I'm just saying that, like, I think that we as humans sometimes just like to have something on the TV that's playing in the background. And that could be Reacher. It could be Love Island. It could be literally anything. And people just want something on for the sake of it being on. And they don't really want to pay attention. They don't want to have to think when they're watching stuff. They just want to have something on the TV because they had a long day at work or something. And then that is the reason why they just have stuff on TV. It's because they want to be on their phone, scrolling on their phone while something is on the TV in the background. And you know what? You can't fault people for it, but I think that's just the way it is. It's like having a fan on while trying to sleep. Yeah, you know, maybe. There you go. That's my take on it's my take on that. And it's unfortunate. I mean, I don't necessarily think it's, I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll see. Guys. I'm going to duplicate this over here. Love Island Reacher edition would be wild. Oh no. You're right. That would be wild. Oh my gosh. Let's don't. Oh my goodness. I don't think you understand Hasselhoff. It is already in the works. Yeah, wait a second. ChatGPT this. Create me an episode of Love Island and Reacher crossover. Create me an episode of a Love Island and Reacher crossover. And ChatGPT's like, absolutely. Here's a fun crossover episode concept. Like, this is the beauty of ChatGPT and AI, guys, with its like ability to like you know, it's just as good as like the real writers, okay? Episode title: Murder in the Villa. Opening scene: sun-soaked villa in Mallorca. The islanders are lounging by the pool, flirting, sipping cocktails, and gossiping. The camera pans to a new arrival walking in slow-mo through the gates. It's Jack Reacher, wearing sunglasses, a tight gray t-shirt, and confusion on his face. Narrator: just when things were heating up, the producers dropped a 6'5" ex-military investigator into the villa. 'Cause why not? Reacher walks into the villa, carrying only a toothbrush and a folded t-shirt. The girls are immediately intrigued. The guys, less so. Jess, who's an island girl: so, Reacher, what's your type? Reacher: I like truth, justice, and sleeping with one eye open. Plot twist. That night, the islanders discover someone's missing. Luca, a cheeky lad who's known for stirring the pot. His bed is empty. A single sandal lies on the beach. Reacher is immediately in investigation mode. Reacher: his sandals were new. No scuff marks, except the right one. Looks like he ran or was dragged. The narrator: forget recoupling. Reacher's coupling clues together faster than you can say text. Guys, I think this is the move. Why are we not doing this show already? Call up the agents, everybody. And the cherry on top is that the poisons they use, they won't be able to make any money. Oh wait, oh man, I missed a lot of chats here, guys. Oh my goodness. Or do and cut it into 10-second clips, scatter them through TikTok with Subway Surfers playing in the bottom. No, guys, don't do that. So never even watch the entire show with the dog scrolling. Shark Tank's gonna like this one. Guys, I think this is the move. Absolute cinema. Beautiful cinema. You know, make it happen. Call my agent. I want a cut of this. Okay, somehow. I want a piece of the pie. You can't convince me that AI can't write episodes like that, okay? Like shows like I think Severance are safe. You know, they're not going anywhere. You need real writers for stuff like that. Okay, that looks good. I like that. Reacher's writers are about to be replaced 100%, either with ChatGPT or Grok. Which, by the way, I've never used Grok. I have no clue if it's even good. I just hear people talk about it all the time. Let's put some shrubbery bushes back here, potentially. Dude, why is this Streamlabs keep asking the same question over and over again? It's like, it's the same green screen question. What is going on? Random questions. Okay, I'm going to turn it off. I apologize. It just keeps like... This is why AI sucks, guys. This is why AI sucks. AI can't even ask questions in my chat appropriately. Streamlabs is threatening you. It's like absolute cinema. Yeah. You're right. You know what? Streamlabs is like, hey, I heard you talking about Reacher and Love Island having a baby. Let's do that on virtual production set. Because why not? I mean, there we go. It actually asked a different question. Should VFX artists get a separate category at the Oscars for best digital performance? And this goes back to Better Man. It's kind of interesting. Those types of movies, are they really comparable to like other visual effects, like best visual effects? Or is it something like Guardians of the Galaxy where Rocket was like literally a CG character? Would that be its own category because it's a performance versus like just straight visual effects? Streamlabs will replace everyone in chat. You know what? I should have Streamlabs literally just like replying to itself and talking to itself in chat sometime. I think that would be very entertaining for me at least. Isn't that a mix of animation and VFX? A bit, you know, in a way it kind of is, but it's more of like CG. Yeah, I guess you're right. It would be like, it would have to be a crossover from animated films to live action films. Like, I feel like it would be, perhaps you would have a performance from an animated film that you are literally directly comparing to a live action one. So maybe that is 2 different awards that would be added. Like a performance in animation versus a performance in CG visual effects. Connor single-handedly proving the dead internet theory? What's the dead internet theory? I don't even know what the dead internet theory is. That's why I'm proving it, because I didn't know what it was. And then also my thing just keeps going, give this video a like, god damn it. Like no one online is real. You're right. I'm just full AI. I'm not a real person. You guys aren't real. I mean, I don't know. You guys aren't. You guys probably aren't. You know, it's just, you guys are AI. Little did you know. Telling you now, it's all news to you guys. Let's make this darker green. Probably not. No one online is real, basically. I'm not real offline either. No one's real, dude. I think you've been thinking people were real, but in reality, they weren't. And it's a rough realization in life. Let's take this, and then if we do it, let's use a color or curves. I think if we do RGB curves. Yeah, guys, I'm just going to start doing like AI live streams where I'm not actually live streaming. It's just going to be AI. And I'm never going to tell you guys that. I'll just start doing it. And then if you guys notice, then good on you. But otherwise, you know, I think I would lose so many subscribers if I did that. I'd lose the, you know, the 1,000 subscribers I currently do have. Need the saturation probably to be higher. Metallic 0. It's too reflective. Okay. That's probably a little better. Oh my gosh, I looked down for 2 seconds and you guys sent a million messages. Can AI do this? Probably not. Streamlabs, can you say? Yeah, I should get Streamlabs to randomly do that every, like, you know, whenever. It just like does like a random emoji send. What was the last one though? Okay, what do you guys think though? I feel like that Oscar thing with performances would be super interesting. Like I'd be very interested in seeing something like that, because right now there really isn't like a differentiation between cool visual effects, like let's say an explosion, or okay, as an example, if Avatar came out, no, okay, back up. If Guardians of the Galaxy came out with Rocket Raccoon at the same time that Alien came out, and they're looking at the Alien like ship crashing scene, that is a really cool sim and comp and like really cool visual effect shot that maybe pushes the boundaries of visual effects from a realistic explosion kind of like sim Houdini kind of perspective versus Rocket Raccoon, which is a character that is emoting emotions. To me personally, and probably to a lot of people, the character emoting emotions would be the ones they would think should win, because it would be something that they relate more to from an emotional perspective, versus an explosion, while it may be pushing the boundaries in a different way. Like, and maybe even Avatar would be a good example of this. Rocket Raccoon versus Avatar. Those two come out at the same time. Avatar: The Way of Water versus Rocket Raccoon's Guardians of the Galaxy. One's pushing the boundaries of like hair sim and water simulation and things like that. Well, sure, the character performances, that's even hard because that's actually character performances versus visual effects. But like, if you were just looking at from the water perspective, not from the CG characters inside of The Way of Water, and then Rocket Raccoon emoting emotions and like performances that way, those are two very clear different stakeholders. Now, both of them may be going for best visual effects as like an effect, but that is the difference there. Does that make sense? I don't know. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. Yeah, it's interesting thing. The more, it's hard to compare motion capture with pure hand animation. Same with stylized and real characters. Yeah, but I actually don't think there should be a difference between motion capture and hand animation. I think that the goal is kind of the same with both of those, unless you are talking about stylized and real characters, in which case there would be a difference between animation and CG animation. That's the only difference. Motion capture should ideally be the same as hand animation if the goal is the same. The goal is the only thing that matters, and that is the style of the project. Interesting thing, more people would care about quality if that happened, I think. Quality or emotion? See, I think quality matters for CG visual effects Oscar. And that was where I kind of had a problem with, like, Guardians of the Galaxy versus the one that did win, which was Godzilla Minus One. Godzilla Minus One pushed the boundaries of visual effects, right? With smaller teams being able to accomplish bigger projects. And so it won because of that. Now, you could argue whether or not it should or shouldn't have won, compared to Guardians of the Galaxy, where you have Rocket Raccoon, which was an insane feat of having a character that we would all relate to. That's up for like best actor type thing, right? It's like you wouldn't compare best actor to best cinematography. That is the difference that we're talking about here, is that you're comparing actors to cinematography and you're lumping it all into one category called visual effects. And that used to work back in the history of Oscars, because the history of Oscars, visual effects wasn't what it is today. But nowadays, I do think there is a difference between characters and cinematography of visual effects and technology of visual effects and all of that. Like that just so much nuance within inside of the word visual effects that I do believe that they should have more of a breakup on that. Surprising that stunt people don't have their own category in the Oscars. I think they do actually this year, because there are some amazing stunts out there. VFX as an umbrella term. Yeah, I know. It's kind of funny. It's like when, like actually on my IMDb, I'm credited as like a VFX artist on a few films. And it's like, I've always like been like, yeah, it's a little annoying, but it also kind of accurate, because like I do everything on a film, then it is like you're a VFX artist. But like there is so much nuance inside of visual effects, from like you actually have directors of photography, you have gaffers, lighting artists, like you have people like that are doing very, very specific things on shots, because those are different jobs. It's like you wouldn't be giving the same Oscar to the DP that you would be giving to the editor, because those are two completely different positions. Just like you wouldn't have the same Oscar go to an actor as the DP who does the cinematography. And that, I feel like, is what they are doing nowadays with VFX, is that they are the same thing in the eyes of the Academy, when they aren't the same thing at all. And I do think that maybe there isn't a lot of education around that in the real world. So normies don't really know why you would even be arguing for anything like that. But I do think it, as from an accuracy perspective, it would be far more accurate to do something like that. Okay, back to the grind, guys. Back to the grind. Probably change the roughness here. Yeah, I like that. Super reflective. Okay, let's fix that real quick. You think a lot of people outside the VFX community generally think of it as, you know, they insert a 3D thing into the scene and that actor interacts with it. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of misconceptions about what is done in the world of visual effects. I find that not a lot of people really want to know how any of it works. They kind of just want to watch their movies. And then what you end up having is a lot of these, well, there's also just a lot of bad language around visual effects where, you know, because there was such a shroud of secrecy about how all of it was kind of done, when it came down to it, for a long time, people would be like, oh, I don't like CG because I think it looks bad. And maybe it did, but they didn't really realize what CG means. Like if you ask like a normie what the difference between AI, CG, and VFX is, they would think all three of those are the same thing. And that's just a normal person that just does not understand. Like CG visual effects are the same thing. It's like, no, CG is a form of visual effects. But yeah, social media does a decent job at educating the younger people. I don't know about that. Maybe it does. I do feel like a lot of people don't understand, you know, what the difference is between those things. With everything you can grasp in the full complexity of it, you don't do it. Sure. I think that unfortunately there is like a bit of like a disdain for visual effects because people don't really understand what it is or you know, all of that. Yeah, most of the people don't understand the difference. No, it's actually very surprising. I actually have friends that I know that like when the whole strikes thing was happening, people were talking about AI CG. People that I know that, I mean, I do this as my job, right? And they were like, oh, what is like, you know, like when people say this, what does that mean? It's like, how do you not know the difference between those three different categories of like types of things? I think it's because VFX means everything that is an effect on a screen versus, and it could be matte painting, it could be paint out, it could be, you know, I don't know, set extensions, it could be green screen, and then it could be a CG monster. But then people think of VFX, when they think of the word VFX, they go CG monster. And then now with AI, it's like CG monster. And that's all AI, CG, VFX. It's like all of that means the same thing. And it just means CG monster. So when people say, oh yeah, VFX looks bad in movies, they don't know what they're talking about. They just think of the one CG monster that they remember seeing. Didn't know VFX was a niche thing until the strike. I don't know if niche. I just think everyone knows what it is, but nobody knows what it is. You know, there's difference between like hearing and understanding. I don't think people understand what visual effects is. Rope. Before you got into, you didn't even know the CGI, the term is rarely used in the industry. If you export your Premiere Cut, you need to render it, computer generate it. You know what? You're not wrong. Do you think indie filmmakers are getting enough access to high-end VFX tools? What do you guys think? Are they? What does that mean? Filmmakers are getting enough access to high-end VFX tools. Yeah, rope is not the answer here. Metal, maybe? Like something like this? I mean, there's a lot that you can get started with at least. Yeah, especially nowadays. Like, the access to Blender, at least, like even just using Blender, I think is interesting. We're not limited by tools anymore, more by creativity. You know, that's very true. I think also an interesting, and I don't know if this is like recent or if it's just people in general. What do you guys think about this? Do you think that people are lazier now because of how easy everything is? So because they didn't have to work for anything in the beginning getting started, that now if anything is remotely difficult to do, that you immediately just like push it off and then don't want to do it? Because I think often I'll even find myself doing this, where if there's a really complex thing that I have to like learn how to do, you almost don't want to spend that much time doing it because you're just like, there's got to be an easier solution. Are we lazy now? Is that what's going on? I try not to be lazy. You think it's just split between types of people? That's possible. It's possible. I'm going to do a wave texture here to create like a rope effect. Yeah, I think that is an interesting thing is that I think nowadays, I don't know, I see it very often. A lot of younger people, they, because of how easy everything is to do now. Like I'll tell you the first VFX shot I ever did. You know what? I'm sounding old, aren't I? I'm sounding like an old person. Kids these days, they don't know what it was like. They don't know what it was like. Back in my day. That's right. That's right, Grandpa. Back in your day. I'm that old guy, guys. Oh my God. I'm personally happy that we aren't in the 70s or 80s where none of the tools have been existed and it took thousands of days to do a basic cutout of actors. You think lazy people exist back then? It's just not as much as they do now, or noticed it more often. Or maybe they just weren't able to get as far. I don't know. Back in my day. The person's interested in the task, you like you doing it. It won't matter if it's difficult. Yeah, I don't know. I guess my thought also is that, you know, I think maybe I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't know how I feel about that. I do think though that what's interesting now is that you can be lazier. I don't know if lazier is the right word. Maybe it is. You can be lazier and I think get further. If you were lazy back in the 70s and 80s and you wanted to do like CG VFX, no way. You'd give up. Like you're right. It'd be thousands of days for a single shot. Back in my day, is me always. Yeah, man. Use this as our rope texture. Connor's the old man that yells at the old man that yells at cloud. Yells at what cloud? What cloud am I yelling at? Now I know why Grandpa did that always. Yeah, dude. Because now you're becoming a grandpa. And you're realizing, just like I am, you're slowly descending into madness of being a grandpa. It's like, I don't want to be a grandpa, but I'm just slowly becoming one. Third eye opening. That's so true, though. I think we like this. Let's do that. Add in a color ramp here, guys. Get it a little more pronunciated. Yeah, that's cool. And then now we're just going to get like another texture. So we'll do this one here. Let's make it even darker. Use another mix shader. Plug this into... Doesn't really matter. Factor. Swap these guys out. Just trying to add a little bit of material into this. I mean, it's so small and far away, I don't think it matters. You can't wait until you turn 80 and your third eye opens. You'll be replaced by AI before you turn 60, bro. Aw, damn. 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 Back in my day, we actually had to do stuff. Nowadays, AI do it all for you. You don't understand. Back in my day. Guys, I created rope. I'll tell you, like the first ever VFX shot I ever did. I've said this before on stream, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself. I just think it's cool. I think it's cool. Hear me out. First ever VFX shot I ever did. Hand painted lightsabers frame by frame on a short film using MS Paint and Windows Movie Maker. Back on Windows XP, guys. Because I liked Star Wars. I still like Star Wars. Star Wars is why I am who I am. Frame by frame, yes, 100%. Back in my day. MS Paint is the GOAT, guys. I still use MS Paint. I used it yesterday. I still use it. It's easiest freaking thing to pop up. Boom, baby. MS Paint. I mean, what? Why not? You could literally do anything in here. I think it's one of the best freaking tools. Like, you could draw whatever you want. Coolest. Don't need any of that extra layers crap or anything like that. Back in my day, you didn't care about any of that. Can't forget the time they tried to replace it too. What, MS Paint? What did they replace it with? I think I missed that. Grandpa's one. I didn't know that they're trying to replace it. Now it makes me sad. I know that they had like the Paint 3D or something like that. I don't know if that's what you're talking about. Painted a portrait in MS Paint, turned out fine. Dude, that's more than I did. Oh, let's see. We get some wood in here. Plywood, one of the bark. Nothing crazy. I mean, it's just like a sign. We're going for, you know what, honestly? What does main house look like on this? Main trunk. Yeah, it looks fine. It looks fine. Guys, the laziness has won. The laziness has won. Call this sign. And then need to write something on it. I gotta write danger, don't I? Haven't you thought about making a new Star Wars short film? Have I? No, because there's too many copyright issues with doing that kind of stuff. I wish. I wanna make a real Star Wars movie, guys. Will you guys follow me on my journey as I make my Star Wars movie? I'm going to wait till the government overthrows the idea of copyrights, and then I'm going to make my own Star Wars movie. Okay, danger sign. Just change the name, Galactic Battle. Boom. Thank me later. So instead of Star Wars, it's like Universe Battle or I think Galactic Battle. You would fall into the sorry, another show called like something Galactic, right? Swap the texture paint here. Let's just see if we can draw. Can we draw, guys? Go to camera view. I don't need any of this fancy crap. Beautiful. How about Star Piece? Get rich and buy the IP for us, bro. Hey, you know what? Subscribe and I'll consider it. Can't be that expensive, right? What's Star Wars going for these days? How much is Star Wars going for? Somebody look it up. I need an in. Does anybody have any ins? Pennies? Okay, that looks good. Go back to our tools over here. I'm just going to remove it from the texture. We don't need a texture. We want the texture mask. Select that guy. And then I got to turn on raking. Random and rake. There we go. $1. Star Piece sounds cooler, or Galactic Battle? I think Galactic Battle's a win for us, guys. I was working on a game in college called Battlebane. Which I still think is a goated name, by the way. Alright. Let's see if I can draw this appropriately. This is looking pretty crappy, guys. Pretty crappy indeed. Here we go. Oh, Jesus. Lovely. Right when I thought we were close. Just Control Z all of that. Yeah. Unwrap that crap. There we go. I know, I was so close. Was so close. It's okay, we'll do it again. We'll do it better. This is my focusing really hard base. It's looking decent. Danger. Looks good, right? Looks good, right? Looks good, right? Looks good? Thank you. Just need your guys' approval, please. Makes me feel empowering or it makes me feel good about myself, okay? All right, so danger. So that's all in red. We could do this one of two ways. I would say that the best way to do this is probably two separate ones, though I don't want to have to deal with... This is a moment in which you should be using a tablet instead of... Hey, I think it looks good enough. You're right, though. Let's go ahead and save this, though. We'll save this under our assets folder as danger sign. Thank you. And then let's go back over to our layout here. So we currently have this danger sign. I'm going to use a principled BSDF with it set to red, I believe, is good. Mix shader this stuff. Boom, into the FAC. And then this can go to the top. And then our red goes into the bottom here. And then now we can go ahead and view that. This should update inside of our texture over here. Hopefully. Hopefully it's updating. Which you can't see it because it's out of focus anyways. But it is there. I want to point out that it is. And it looks pretty good too, guys. Okay. I'm going to use a color ramp. And let's let's just make this pretty. Yeah, that's good. It's good. Maybe a little less so we get some of that texture coming through. Maybe even bring up the contrast of this black a little bit more to add in a little bit more detail to like the paint texture feel. Maybe not too much. Wow, that Streamlabs was like listening to us because it popped up with its question here. What do you think about AI generated actors being used in background scenes? Good innovation or bad for the industry? Probably would say it's mostly bad. But background actors, let's talk about from a background perspective. Filling scenes. Is it bad to fill scenes with CG? Sorry. Oh my God. Is it bad to fill it with CG people? Is it bad to fill it with AI people? So CG people at all? Green screen cards of people where you're just like extending green screen cards of like a bunch of real live action green screen stuff. So we'll break it down to 3 different questions here. Is it any different of these 3 things? Shooting live action of green screen cards of people wearing different costumes, keying that, using particle systems to create a stadium full of people. That's option 1. Option 2, I guess, is shooting it for real, okay? Option 3 would be CG people, but in the background and using real people in the foreground, which is what they did on, like, Bohemian Rhapsody and, like, you know, all of these, like, you know, the Timothée Chalamet film where they do, like, crowd work and stuff like that. You have real people, CG people in the background. And then finally, AI comes in. Instead of CG, and you fill in the background, you still have real people in the foreground, but then in the background, you just say, hey, extend it with CG people. How do you guys feel about that? How do you guys feel about such thing? Does it make you feel mad? I'm going to create a new image texture while we talk about it. I think the difference between that AI option and the CG option is pretty close to nothing, and they already did the CG option. Last of Us was crazy for the CG crowd sims. You didn't even know that a lot of crowd work was CG until you saw the company VFX reel. See, that's the best kind of CG right there. But you just skirted around my question. Didn't the actor strike come with some rules about background replacement? I don't know about background replacement. I know it was performance replacement. Performance replacement was kind of like the biggest concern. Okay, I need my skull head, guys. So this dude right here, he's gonna be painted. Yeah, I don't know about the background. I do know that they made really specific stuff about the like actual performances. That looks like a skull head to me, guys. What are these, bones? I do not know what I just drew, but we're going to go with it. I think that works for me. Save that image. Back to layout. I think the interesting thing is that I think that depends largely on what resources are available. If you don't really have the budget to pull in enough actors, CG might be the best. But that is what they already do. I mean, they already do that. So they, to be clear, just tell you where the state of the current industry is at. We already do CG crowd replacements. That's already a thing. They already do it. It's already standard. Everybody does it. Okay. Pretty much on every film. Ted Lasso, TV shows, you know, Lord of the Rings, like Rings of Power, even up to the biggest, most expensive $1 billion TV show, Rings of Power. They do crowd sims. Okay. They crowd sims back in Lord of the Rings back in the 90s and early 2000s, all the way to now. Like crowd sim CG is already a thing. Okay. They don't do real actors. They did that back in like 100 years ago. Now they do things CG. I was talking with a director friend of mine about a potential job this next year, and I even posed the idea of like, let's not do CG, let's do shooting actors on green screen, and then we have cards, and then we can fill out the cards for the entire scene that way. And especially if we already know what shots we want, we just go film the real assets. You got 2D assets. I mean, hell, you don't have to do it where we shoot our own stuff. You could actually go to Action VFX's website, go grab their own cards, and then fill out stadiums that way. I did a Western film last year that we did that on. So the real question is the difference between CG and AI. What's the big difference there? Because one is, well, I mean, they're both generated via computer, to be completely honest. But one is using AI fully generated, which is a different method than 3D CG characters. I don't know. Like, is there a huge enough difference on that? I mean, we're talking about background here. We're not even talking about people with lines. Like, and that is the question at hand, everybody. Okay, so we've got this skull head here. What we need to do now is now duplicate this red ink. We're going to make it black ink, or just really dark red. Maybe it's dried out blood, guys. It's a long time ago that this happened. Plug that guy in there. Plug this guy in here, and it's just a layer. And again, same color ramp probably. Looking pretty solid. Also, no one cares how many resources you have available. Let's be real. They'll judge you just based off of how you did something in the first place. Unfortunately, that's just how the industry works, guys. If AI looks jank as hell, that would be cause enough to bring in the big guns. I like your response, Baragon Productions. I like your response. You're just like, hey, if it looks like shit, don't do it. I love it. I love it. You're like, I don't care what people think. If it looks bad, that's when you do it the other way. You know what? That is what we all should. That should be the reason we all don't do certain things. Not because of politically how we feel or anything like that. It should just be solely based off of, yeah, no, it just didn't look good. I will say, AI right now, no one should be concerned. In the near, like, next couple years, anyways, maybe after like a year or two, we should be concerned. But as of right now, it does not look good. So there really is no concern of whether or not it's going to take your job. Okay. A couple extra plants back there, I think. Like back here. Then guys, we are pretty freaking close to rendering this out and then comping it. I would say we probably want... These stones back here don't have any textures in them. Stone walkway. And then we grab some kind of stone, right? Rock texture. Hey Marvin, welcome into the chat. How you doing? Welcome, welcome. We're just, you know, doing our things here. We're trying to make Shrek in Blender. Which apparently a lot of people like the new look of Shrek. Which, I mean, we're not exactly trying to make this look like the old version of Shrek anyways. Our render looks more, I guess, I don't know, what's the best term for it, guys? Photoreal? I don't even know. Let's go with this rock face, and then we can relight it to what we want. So I'm just going to download this. By the way, if you guys are new here, you guys can subscribe to the Patreon. You get all these project files for free. I just upload these to Patreon after the live stream is over, and then you guys can use it for whatever you want. Go back over here to textures, and then I just downloaded this lovely rock face texture. Go over here to textures and then import that. Just trying to focus on this rock so I can actually see what I'm doing when I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ever want to know what you're doing when you're doing it? Sometimes it's really useful. All right. You know, honestly, that looks good enough. We plug this directly into the base color. I am probably going to use the same multiplication method that we did before. So let's do that. I'm going to just real quick add in a normal map here so that way we have the base texture. And then let's use a color ramp up here with the object info. And then plug the random value here into the FAC. And then from here, I kind of like... We'll just keep it from 0 to white, essentially. And then we'll use this as a mix color node. And just multiply. You'd either do that or do add. I think add could also work. You're just adding values of 0 to 1. So that way it's actually not making it much darker. And then that factor right there. And then, okay, great. You have so many films that you need to catch up on that came up last year that you never go to watch. Oh, A Quiet Place Day One. Dude, I never watched that either. Twister's Late Night with the Devil. I did watch Late Night with the Devil. Heretic and much more. Hopefully you can watch some at some point. I don't know why I plugged random, by the way, into that. That's... Oh, wait, what am I doing here? Factor is set to 1. I'm an idiot. Okay, and then this gets added to the A. Okay, beautiful. And then now we just go ahead and just multiply this. And then it's 0 to 1 on the multiplication, guys. Like, doing two things at the same time, and I'm like completely messing up both things. Okay, back to camera view here. Can we not see that? Probably not. Maybe combine them with a movie night with friends and family? Combine what? Those movies? Hopefully I can watch some of them at some point. Yeah, watch the horror film movies with friends and family. We should do a movie night on Discord at some point. Just lift up the curves here. I just want this texture to be a little bit brighter. It's pretty solid. Back in the day, back in my day, we one of the first types of streams I did. That's why we won't do it on like YouTube or anything like that if we did do it. But Ben and I, we used to do these live streams. Oh man, we got so much trouble for doing this. It was like on Twitch, and both of us would watch a movie, and we would just like watch a movie once a week on Twitch and react to it as we were watching it. We were like reacting to the movie. Yeah, that's called illegal. Don't do that. Illegal and unethical. Also, yeah, I doubt a majority of my friends and family would like late night, to be honest. They aren't horror people. Yeah, that's why you gotta trick them. You gotta say that it's a new animated family-friendly film, and then pull that up. They'll never know the difference. Okay. Where are we at? That's all texture. Probably want to add some bushes back here. We could still do that. Rope, chairs, some tape for the eyes. Hey, that actually sounds not super nice. I never said to do something like that. Plants, saplings, shrubs. Connor admitting to piracy. Hey, people do that on Twitch all the time. They're called reaction streamers. Laura's building with this one. Yeah, we got shut down like week 2 of doing it too. It was pretty funny because I don't know why we thought it would be okay to do that. We were like, well, we're talking over the stream. Like, it's not like we're just straight up putting it online, you know? Like we're talking over it. But yeah, no, it didn't matter. Definitely don't recommend doing that, by the way. Okay, we're gonna, let's see, rotate this around, scale it down slightly. Just create some variation here. Trying to just fill in this area. Probably now over here. Maybe not some flowers. It's not supposed to look nice. It's not a pretty place, guys. It's not pretty. The swamp. More importantly, it's Shrek Swamp. There's a strange beauty to it. But that does not mean it's beautiful. The only horror movie you got your family to watch was Nope. Dude, Nope wasn't even a horror film. Yeah, it's more thrillery, but still. Yeah, it was like a like I honestly thought it was going to be more horror. And okay, I'll talk about it. Was anybody else like more interested and intrigued by the secondary storyline of like the little kid with the monkey and like all of that happened? I thought that was like such a cool like background like story that like I actually was more interested in that. You never watched Nope? Wait, monkey. You and your monkeys, Hasselhoff. Yeah, dude, that was like a whole part of the film was this like background story where there was this kid and this like monkey, and there's this crazy like horror thing that I won't spoil, but I thought that storyline compared to like the Alien, main storyline, I really liked it. I thought it was such a cool story comparatively. Yeah, it's cool. I like that variation over here rather than it just being all one. You got me when you said monkey. All based on a true story, guys. How are we feeling? I want more of like these. Can we get some particles in there? I might comp some of these like kind of like things in. You haven't seen such intense moments? Well, then you should. Material. Let's just add in all of that so that way I don't have like these white cables going everywhere. This one as well. And I don't know what this is. Oh, is that a tree branch? I don't like it. Its tree branch is so bright. It looks like a mistake. The Gordy scene and the abduction scene are the pretty harrowing because of the visuals, sure, but the sound around it too. Yeah, honestly, the sound design carried that movie. Great sound design. Okay. Okay. Let's get this tree back here. Let's duplicate its material. And then the overall exposure of it, we'll just use the curves on it. Bring it down. Less attention grabby, because otherwise it's more visible than this guy here. Something like that. A little bit of halfway in between, you know? And then let's see what it looks like with our effects right now. Oh, that's right. I added this light back here. I was like, what just happened? Holy moly. I don't know what that light is, but we do have this guy right here. And then what we can do, because he's casting so much like bloom inside of our lighting, let's go and turn off volume scatter for it. You've got to go now. Had fun talking. Hey, thanks for dropping in. Thanks for chatting. Before you leave, you can look at our current status inside of Blender. Oh, man. Oh. Stretch break, guys. Stretch break. Oh. Stretchy breaky. Looks like something all right. I want to hit more of that. Where's that light at? Shrender for sure. 100% Shrender. Want more golden hour. There we go. Definitely more golden hour. Shrender. It's a Shrender. It's a Shrek render. It's a Shrender. I don't even know, guys. Okay. That's looking decent. Decently decent. That's all you can hope for. Well, let's put some particles in here, you know what I'm saying? Like some particles. We can do that pretty easily. So if we go look at You'll Take Your Leave as well, Had a Blast, and a Shrender already looks great. Thanks, man. We're gonna go comp this here shortly, actually. So you guys are missing the most fun part, the new comping. But I don't know, I gotta render this out. It's very possible that this will say it's gonna take 45 minutes, at which point I'm just gonna say, you know what, guys? We're gonna do that next week. We're just gonna comp it. Yeah, we'll see. Just checking. Looks okay. I'm not like blown away by it, personally. Yeah, I'm not blown away, guys. Which is not good. I think there's a... I think I might want to add some more grass. I think that's... So if we go to weight paint right now, we're going to go to our paint tool. Make sure it's on mix or add, one of the two. And from our camera perspective here, let's just add some more here. Might subtract it as well, but I just want to add in a bunch below the camera. Let's go to subtract. Back to asking the same questions over again, are we? And then mostly down the middle here. But then we'll go to add. Just get some bottom right ones. That's cool. And then over here and over here. And all the way to like right there. Maybe more of a path type of thing. And then overall, then we just increase the number, which we can do in a moment. Might do the same thing over here. Just add in some underlying grass to this whole thing. Cool. Now, let's go back over here to object mode and adjust the number value here to be a lot higher because we have a lot more surface area. Go ahead and save that. And then let's add in big old plane. And this plane here, we can go ahead and turn on our particle mode. So let's add in the particles. Hit play. Okay. There you go. You got yourself a bunch of particles. Now, what do we do with these particles? That is a good question. I'm going to say let's go to 60 here. And let's just have that go all the way through. We'll go ahead and bake this. And now with our particles, let's go to render view and then swap this out to an object. Now we can change this with whatever object we want, but we're going to create our own object. So we're going to create a circle, rotate it 90 degrees, fill that circle. And this circle right here is going to be kind of our prefab, essentially, for the rest of our particles. So now if we go select our our plane that we have, we can go back down to our object, and then we're going to select circle, which only have, oh, I guess we have 2. And voila, you got a bunch of circles. And we're just going to keep the object rotation. And as you can see, we've got like a bunch of little dots in here. And that's because it's basically taking this circle and then placing it everywhere. All we now have to do is add in a material and kind of create our own effect that we want to have. Now, we can kind of keep like these like little white dots. Essentially, it's like little dust particles essentially inside of our scene. And I might also do, let's see, let's go over to that circle and then go to render views. That way we can see what that's going to look like. Make sure effects is turned off. Beautiful. And then now let's create a gradient texture, and it's going to be a spherical gradient texture. And all we have to do now is just position this to be centered. And then we take ourselves a color ramp and just extend the black area to be a little bit more. Then now we just have to center it even more, guys. There you go. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to create a little bit of a feathered edge here. Okay. So it's like almost a circle, but then it goes off to black there. And now what that gets us is if we add in a transparent BSDF, and then we add in a mix shader node here, all we have to do is have this plugged into the FAC, the white plugged into the bottom value here, and then as you can see, the top value is black. All we want to do is plug that into the transparent into that. It's going to create ourselves like a nice little like white feathered edge particle essentially. And if we want to get even fancier with it, we can add in like a noise texture. Just go look at that noise texture real quick. See, it's got some values on here, so that way it's not just flat solid. Just plug that into your base color, and then voila, you've got yourself a nice little particle of fuzz essentially. And that fuzz can then be translated into the rest of your scene. So if we go to render view here, should already be there. Our little fuzz that we created will then propagate to our particle system, and then now we'll have little bits of fuzz floating around our scene, and that helps create some nice dynamicness. You could do this in 3D, or you can even do 2D assets of this. So we could actually have comped this inside of Nuke if we wanted to. But since we're doing this here anyways, I figured this could be a nice little added touch. Okay. Blender crashed, guys. Blender crashed. Hopefully not too long ago was an autosave. 41, so literally a minute ago. Beautiful thing, guys. Autosave is a beautiful thing. The only thing we lost was our noise texture. That's all good though. Noise texture. Plug, let's see. Keep that in solid view. Go back over to render view on this. This can get plugged into your base color, and then this gets plugged into that, and then now you got your mix shader, that gets plugged into that. Go ahead and save that. That looks good, guys. A little bit of fuzz. Let's go ahead and get out of render view. And I'm just going to zoom in on some of these fuzzes. I just want to see how good they look inside of this scene. We'll call it fuzz. I'm just curious. So we got like that. I'm almost wondering if we want these to also be somewhat transparent. Yeah. Because you could control how visible they are also through this. That's pretty cool. A little added like extraness in there. Okay, we'll save that, and then let's just talk through some of the render settings here, and then, you know, we'll go from there. Make sure that's all correct. Okay. Oh, this is gonna cast shadows. That's why everything got darker. Okay, cool. Well then, good thing we caught that. Let's go here and then make sure it doesn't have shadows selected. And we can see that changing inside of our properties panel over here. Shadows. Diffuse. Velocity transmission, volume scatter. But we still have the particles here, right? Yeah, beautiful. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and save that, and then let's talk through some of the render settings here. Is that just me, or is this way brighter now? What just happened to the grass? Probably want the brightness to be a little lower. Hey, Satya, thanks for dropping in. Having a nice shine. Render's going to be great. Just know it. Well, I'm probably going to end this pretty soon, and then we'll just do the comp next week, because I have a feeling the render's going to take forever on this anyways. I'm trying to find... There it is, brightness. Okay, that's much better. I don't know why that got so bright. Do I have a light somewhere that like is... Okay. Okay, that all looks pretty good. So I'm just going to save that. And then let's go to our render settings here. So first of all, I'm using my own color management settings. And I've talked about this in previous videos. I am going to want to make sure that it's selected on ACES CG for the sequencer. That's the only thing I do prefer to do. So that way when I bring it into Nuke, I am also using ACES there as well. Next up, I'm going to change this to OpenEXR multi-layer. That's going to allow me to embed a bunch of EXR channels directly into the actual output file, which is going to be extremely useful, especially when it comes to CryptoMats and things like that. And speaking of CryptoMats, let's go over to our CryptoMat tab here. We're going to want to enable objects and materials. I like having both those. And then I think for this, maybe normals could be nice. I don't think I really need anything else. I might do a mist. Mist could be good. And that's a 0 to 1 essentially versus the... Maybe we want Z instead. No, we'll do mist. I'm going to do both because I don't know out of Blender which one you should have. I want to test that out. Okay, and then next up, we're just going to go ahead and then set the render location. So for us, that's going to be our streams folder and our latest render. I'm going to save this into our out, which our numbers are different here, but there should be a 3D out folder. There it is, 3D out. And then we're going to call this Shrek render, I think. Or actually even better, we'll just call it version 1. So VO1. And then today's date, I find works really well. 25 0323. Let's go ahead and just save that there with an underscore, and then overwrite is totally fine. For color management, we will override and just ensure that it says ACES CG here. ZIP compression is totally fine for what we're trying to do. All of those render settings should be good, essentially. No motion blur, because there's no motion in our shot. Transparency, I'm gonna uncheck transparency, and because that can only be a bad thing, honestly. It's like the only thing it could do is show transparency, which we don't want. Cool. All of that is good. There's actually a new white balance option down here. That is super cool. Didn't know I gotta mess around with that. Okay, great. And then all of those settings should be good. So we'll just go ahead and save this project here. I'm going to hit the render button after this stream is over. But for right now, I think that's going to be it for today. You know, I think this was a really productive stream. I'm really liking where this is going. So we'll render this out. And then next Sunday, we'll come back and then we will stream fixing it up and getting everything good. We're going to comp it inside of Nuke. So come back for that if you guys are excited for Nuke render stuff, man. Oh man, yeah, no, I think this is going to be it for today. We've already been streaming for 3 hours, guys. 3 hours. That's a decent stream. But thanks to all of you guys for dropping in today. I want to give a special shout out to all these wonderful Patreon subscribers right here. If you guys are one of these people, you guys get access to all the project files. So after this stream is over, I'm going to upload these project files right here. You guys can grab it, use it for whatever you want. There's no licensing issues or anything like that. Just use it for your own stuff. And then, and yeah, if you guys want to render it out yourself, then you can use it before we get to next week. So again, thank you to all these wonderful subscribers right here on the Patreon. Link to that is in the description below. But I appreciate you guys for dropping by today. It was a great stream. You know, I think we had a good time. I like these random questions that Streamlabs asks in the chat. The only problem is it asks the same question twice. It should never ask the same question twice. I got to see if I can figure that out. But to end our poll, our results are in, guys. 86% of you guys said that, it says 85% of you guys said that the new Shrek look looks good. You know what I should have said? Which one looks better? Is it better or bad or whatever? I don't know. But regardless, thank you guys for dropping in. I'll see you guys next week with a new stream as we get into it. But join the Discord so I can see some of you guys' stuff and we'll chat there. But before all that, just remember, it's all about having fun, okay? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they say. It's all about having fun. Okay, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.